If there's one principle that all great leaders share, it's this. They choose to lead themselves first. It's not just about talk, it's about living it. And that's how they inspire those around them to go to the next level and continue to pursue greatness.
That was the heart of a recent activation speech we gave at a leadership conference called HOBY Youth Leadership. Now, regardless of your age, this talk has some fundamental principles that we all need to be reminded of in order to be great leaders. So as you listen to this and as you tune in, think, where do you need a reset? Because if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not showing up for you, how are you going to show up from a place of leadership for others? You have to take care of yourself, and this talk is going to be a great reminder of those fundamental principles that will give you a good reset.
Now, if you're new here, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can continue to learn how to become a fit and healthy leader. And also, if you find this video very valuable, consider sharing it with someone you care about and maybe your kids, so you can inspire them to step up and become the leader that you know they're meant to be.
Awesome. That said, let's dive in.
How's everyone doing? That should wake you up a little bit, right? You get a little feedback like that. My name is Brian Pickowitz. This is my lovely wife. What's your name?
I'm also his wife.
I'm Lindsay. Nice to meet you all.
And so we are super excited and incredibly grateful to be here with you all today. But we are the head coaches and co-founders of the Fitness Project, where we focus on building fit and healthy leaders. And so today what we're going to focus on is helping you unlock the leader within you. Over the last 10 years, we have worked with clients all across the country, helping them develop themselves. Now, for us at the Fitness Project, what we believe is when you have your health intact, when you take care of your body, when you're really nourishing this part of you, it makes it better and easier for you to lead others. And so the principle that we really focus on is helping ambitious professionals, helping executives, managers, entrepreneurs really fine-tune themselves. Because when you do take care of yourself, it allows you to be better for everything else you do. It allows you to make a difference in your community because you have led yourself first. And so the principle that we're going to start with today is understanding that you have to lead yourself first. That means you have to do good in school. That means you have to show up on the athletic field and push yourself, because no one's going to follow you until you decide to step up first. So a lot of what we're going to walk through today is really first starting with how do we become a leader? And then second, how do we start to accelerate the process? Because does anyone here have goals? Does anyone here have goals? Okay, come on. Yes, I should see every hand, right? Because if you want to reach those goals, does anyone feel like you want to reach them faster than you thought? Like, oh, I want to be there yesterday. Like, I really wish this already happened, right? Awesome. We're going to teach you how you can accelerate the process of actually stepping into that leadership role and make progress happen sooner. But why are we here? Well, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, so why are we here? Well, we are here because we are just like you. We are New Hampshire natives. Maybe not all of you are, but Brian and I both grew up in New Hampshire. We both went to Franklin High School together. We graduated in 2012, 2013, and then we went to universities in New Hampshire as well. So this is Brian's alma mater. Brian went to St. A's and I went to UNH. Both graduated 2016, 2017. And we both did a lot of the things that I would assume you guys do. Like, we played sports, 3-sport athletes, we did student council, we did honor society, we did all of the leadership things that you're supposed to do. But the real reason we're here is because this time in your life and this time in our lives really set a foundation for what we did for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
And we did some cool stuff. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with how life's gone so far, and I hope the same will be for you. But this time in high school is really what set us up to go on this grand adventure that we've been on for the last 10 years or so. See, Brian and I both had this big dream to go to California, far, far away, to the land of the beach, the sun, and fitness. We wanted to chase this goal of fitness. We wanted to be bodybuilders. We wanted to be in the fitness industry. We wanted to be on social media when it first came out. And that's what we did. We drove across the country in our little car. We landed in California in beautiful Santa Monica, and we chased the dream. And we did. We built 2 businesses. We were in the fitness industry, in the heart of it. We were training at the best gyms around amazing athletes, and we built social media channels. We both built a YouTube following, and we started our businesses from there. After that, we had this amazing business opportunity to go to Texas, of all places, go to Texas, and we spent about 5 years there. Up until recently, about 2 years ago when we got married, we decided it was time to chase the calling back to our home, back to New Hampshire. And that's what's landed us here, because there really is no place like the Granite State, having 4 seasons. It really does it well, but we wanted to take care of our families. So we came back. But we have this whole journey to share with you, to give you some future casting, give you some ideas of what you can expect. And that's what we're going to share with you today, is everything we've learned over the last 10 years to kind of set you up so you can get the most out of this time, this experience, and forward, and then go chase your own dreams. So let's start here. Who in this room has ever felt like they were meant for more? Like something in you said, I'm supposed to do a little bit? Yes, you can raise your hands. That's fine. Yes, good. Excellent. But maybe you don't really know what to do with it. And there's nothing wrong with this. I see head nods. You don't really know what to do with it yet. You're still like 15, 16. You're like, there's got to be something I can do, but you don't really know what it is. That's totally normal. And we both felt the exact same way. So I'll go ahead.
So again, when we talk about those feelings, those insecurities, those doubts, right? Does anyone have a little doubt? Like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't even know if I want to be a leader, right? Why am I spending are you guys on summer vacation already? Is that okay, so you're almost there. All right, so you guys came here because you got a little class time off. Is that what happened? But so you're in this spot where there's that doubt, there's that uncertainty. It's like, oh my gosh, what does it even mean to be a leader? Right? Does anyone actually know, right? So we have those feelings, and so today what we're going to do is we're actually going to clarify first, what does it mean to be a leader? How can we get some leverage? How can we get some certainty? How can we get clarity? And we're going to, more important than that, dig into how do we really ignite that leadership within you so you can do more, you can become more, and you can achieve and contribute more. Is anyone okay with that? Does that sound like a good thing? Can I get a hand raise to say yes? Yes? All right, we're going to do it one more time. 3, 2, 1. Can I get a hand raise to say yes?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And you guys are already doing great. So to accomplish our mission, which is to ignite that leader within you, right? We want to take that spark and just light it up. We have 3 rules in order for this to work. These rules have your best interest in mind. Rule number 1, which we tell our clients all the time, is you got to play full out. Play full out means if we're going to ask you to stand up, you're going to stand up. If we ask you to write, you're going to take out that notebook and you're going to write. If we say yes, you go, yeah, yes, okay. Maybe more confidently than that. But when we say play full out, it means fully engage, like to let loose. Okay, can everybody be okay with playing full out today? Yes? Yes. Beautiful. That leads us to rule number 2, which is equally important and is a requirement for rule number 1 to work. Okay, if we're going to play full out, then we need to be respectful of each other. Because if one of us is playing full out and the other person's laughing at them or judging them, that person's going to turn in, right? But if we're respectful and we're like, you do you, good for you, shouting that out, good for you playing full out, it makes the whole thing actually work. So can we all agree to be respectful? Let each other play, yes? Okay, excellent. Last rule, and this is really important when we start asking you questions. We're going to ask you questions that you might not know the answers to. Trust that we don't expect you to know all the answers. We don't expect you to know yourself well enough to have those answers top of mind yet. But that's the point of the questions. Because until you ask yourself the hard questions, maybe ones that you're like, I don't really know what about me is strong or what makes me a leader. Until you ask the question, you're never going to find the answer. So we're going to ask you hard questions, but the key is rule number 3, which is stay curious. Stay curious. Don't judge yourself. Don't be like, what? Well, nothing's great about me. Don't judge yourself. Stay curious. Stay curious, and that's going to lead you towards learning. It's going to lead you towards growth. And we encourage you to bring all 3 of these rules to the whole weekend, not just Brian and Lindsay. Bring them to everybody who's going to talk to you. So can everybody say, yes, we're down for these rules? Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Excellent. Great work. And now we get to play, because Brian already mentioned these few things that we're going to cover with you. But we're going to start with creating a little bit of focus. We're going to identify where you actually want to go, because until we have a destination that's clear, we're kind of just roaming about and wandering, not really having a direction. As Brian said, we're going to talk about what is a leader. We're going to give you some principles for a great leadership so you actually know what to aim for. And then we're going to talk about, as Brian mentioned, how to accelerate your growth so you go a little bit faster. Cool? Cool. Let's do it.
So what we're going to start with, this is in your workbooks on page 16. We have you open up your workbooks. Did you forget your workbook? You. Yes.
Somebody get this man a piece of paper.
So here's what's great. If you don't have your notebook, that's perfectly fine. You can jot down the questions. Hey, what's your name? Abraham, I'm not putting you on the spot. You're perfectly fine. If you don't have your workbook, just if you could use something to write on, that's perfectly fine. You're all good. I'd seen earlier, Abraham, that you didn't have it with you, so that's why I was calling you out. You're all good. So if you have them, we're going to turn to page 16. And what we want you to start with is first, we did put a little bonus question in here, but first, identifying what's the one thing you hope to gain or discover from this weekend? What's one thing you hope to gain or discover about yourself this weekend? What's one thing? It could be, I hope to discover what it means to be a leader. It could be, I hope to discover how to build friends. These are all great things. The second thing we're going to have you focus on is just some curiosity of the goal. So at the end of the weekend, I want to feel what? Do I want to feel empowered? Do I want to feel like I can go and relax? Right? No wrong answer. But what do you want to feel at the end of the weekend? And then last, I would encourage you all to jot this down. Why are you here? Why are you actually here? What brought you in? Why did you want to come? So we're going to give you about 2 minutes, and then we're going to do at least one share. Okay?
So go ahead, write whatever comes up, go for it. Who would be open to sharing? One of the leaders to play full out and go first. Raise your hand nice and big. Let's go, dude.
Yeah, right in the middle.
What is your name?
Wait. Let's give him a round of applause.
Yes. Tell us your name, why you're here, and what you're hoping to gain this weekend.
My name is Jude.
Thank you.
I'm here because I thought it would be a good opportunity to meet new people and learn some new things. And I said I wanted to gain knowledge, friendships. Yeah, at the end of this weekend, I want to feel it. Sounds good.
Oh, amen. Let's give it a round. Beautiful.
Excellent.
Let's do one more. Who else would love to share? One quick. Yeah, right there.
let's go.
Stand up.
If you don't mind, stand up and tell us your name.
Yeah, what's your name?
What is your name?
Alexa.
Hello,
Alexa.
Let's give it a round.
I said that I wanted to gain leadership skills and lasting friendships, and at the end of this week, I want to feel inspired and excited.
Beautiful. Fantastic.
Excellent. Great work already.
All right.
All right,
So
then let's jam.
now that we have some clarity on where we're at, what we want to know, we want to be honest. Kind of already asked this, but who's here ever felt a little reluctant to be a leader? Like, I don't really know if I want to be a leader. Maybe you felt like this guy. Right? Kind of like being pulled into something, or you weren't even really sure what it meant to be a leader. So there was this uncertainty or doubt. Again, these feelings are completely normal. And that's why I want to start by telling you the story of the reluctant leader. Now, this is a very common story. If you ask anyone who is a leader today, who you might consider a leader, their story probably sounds very similar to this, which is usually that someone sees something within you. They see something within you that they call out. But there's a part of you that says, I don't really know if I want to do that. Or you have an image of what a leader is, and you say, well, that's not me. So there's a story that each leader has to confront, which is that insecurity, that doubt, that worry, that I don't really know if this is for me. And believe it or not, that was my story. You see, when I was around maybe 14, I was a great athlete. But I'd also been bullied a lot, so I had a lot of anger issues. I wanted to be the center of attention, so if I got the opportunity in class to get everyone's attention, I took it, and that derailed everything. And so the teachers would tell me, hey, what are you doing? You guys stop acting out. You guys stop acting this way. And then one day, a teacher pulled me aside and said, Brian, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble again. My parents are going to have it out with me. She pulled me aside and she said, I need to tell you this. It's really important. You are a leader, but you're not acting like it. And what happens is when you don't act like a leader, you pull everyone else off track and you throw off the whole classroom. And I was like, I'm not a leader. I certainly don't want to be, because in my mind, that meant I had to be perfect. I had to know everything. It meant I had to have a responsibility on my shoulder. I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to be myself. But I sat with that. I sat with that curiosity. What does it mean to be a leader? Well, I love sports, so maybe I could be a great athlete. And I showed up my freshman year of high school, and I wanted to outwork everyone. I wanted to outwork every single person on the team, and I did. That freshman year, I made varsity football. I started every single game for a team that went undefeated, and we won the state championship. I had learned this valuable lesson, whereas, hey, if I show up and I lead myself, then things work out. And so the first lesson I took from that is, hey, great leaders lead themselves. They show up, they do the work. And that laid some seeds in my mind. The only problem is that's not exactly a full picture of a leader, because you can work really hard and leave everyone else behind you and only care about yourself, which is what people thought of me. So that freshman year when I went to run for class president, most people didn't vote for me because they had this image of me as this obnoxious athlete, which if you ask my wife, that's what I was. But it really wasn't the truth. It wasn't how I felt about myself. And so that laid a really great lesson, which is, oh, in order to be a leader, I also have to care about other people. So I spent that whole next year getting to learn more about my classmates, taking my school seriously, working hard in my grades and in my study. And I wanted to build a bigger friendship group with people who weren't like me, who didn't play sports. When I ran that sophomore year, I actually won. And what was even better is I started to use my title, which I had at the moment, a class president, to do some really great things. And so that taught me another lesson about leadership, which is, and this is a really important one, so jot this one down, leaders see failure and setbacks as an opportunity to learn. You are going to fail. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you have a long life ahead of you, full of failures and challenges. Not to be negative, but that's what life's going to look like, right? So when you're a leader, you learn to see that this challenge is something that's going to grow me. This challenge is something that's actually making me better. And if there's a lesson on the other side of that challenge, I want it because that's where I'm going to actually start to see myself become who I want to be. Now, in hindsight, that was the greatest thing that happened to me. Because I was able to be class president. I got voted in by my staff, by my students, the other students around me. And I was able to do some things in our school that had never been done. I took all of our classmates together and said, hey, what do you guys want for your senior trip? And we all voted to go from New Hampshire to New York, which in the small town of Franklin didn't really happen. People just kind of took a trip to the pond and walked around because no one planned. I was able to get our graduation outside by petitioning the superintendent and saying, hey, we don't want to have the graduation inside, we want it outside. It's beautiful out. We want to celebrate at our high school. And that was because I pulled other people and asked, what's important to you? So yes, they chose me as their leader, but it was about leading them, not just what I wanted. And so if I would have just shunned away that leadership and said, it's not for me, I don't want it, I don't want to be perfect, I don't want to be on the spot, if I wouldn't have learned from my failures, it wouldn't have happened. So on the other side of that reluctant leader is everything you want, everyone you can be. And it's not just my opinion. I know Lindsay has a very similar story too.
I do. And maybe some of you resonate with that more boisterous leader, the person who's kind of out front, making a ruckus, if you will. But I know that there's a portion of you that might resonate a little bit more with my story. Because if you had asked 15-year-old Lindsay if she was a leader, she would have said, no. But I'm a really great second in command. I will help, but I do not want to lead the ship. That was my whole identity. I was like, I'm number 2. I am not number 1. I don't go that way. But the truth was, here's the real kicker. It's not that I didn't want it. That wasn't true. It wasn't true that I thought that I was better at being second. The truth was, I was actually just so afraid to fail. So afraid. I wanted to be the captain of the sports team. I wanted to go out for the school play and be the lead. I wanted to be the president of the student council and whatever. But inside, I was like, I had this image that meant me standing out by myself and being caught off guard. Like in front of like you guys, and you ask me a question, I go, I don't know. And then everybody thinks I'm dumb. That was my worst possible fear, was actually embarrassing myself. And so I painted over that picture and said, I just don't like to lead. I'm a number 2. I'm always going to be second in command. Now, here's where that became really challenging. Because I played small and I hid myself, that meant everybody else got to choose for me. I was not really in charge of my own self. I kind of became a people pleaser, if you will, letting everybody else lead the ship. And that landed me in some pretty dangerous situations, quite frankly. I was in a very toxic relationship almost my entire high school career, not realizing that that just wasn't healthy and how you should treat your significant other. And I let it happen because I was so used to playing small, I had no confidence. I was completely insecure until I actually went to something similar to what you guys are at right now, at the same age, believe it or not. This is called St. Paul's. It was a 6-week, I think, camp or so. And I went for entrepreneurship, I went for engineering, and it was really this leadership opportunity to go learn, immerse yourself, connect with people. And this was the first time that I was forced out of what you would call your comfort zone. Because when you play small, and you don't go for things, you don't put yourself out there, what you're really doing is you're just staying comfortable. You're staying in your zone of comfort. And you might be really good at that, but it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't build your confidence. And so this was the first time that I was booted out, literally. My mom was like, you're going. So if anybody here had that experience, I resonate. And I was terribly uncomfortable. Like, I did not want to be there. I wanted to go home. I was like, this is awkward and uncomfortable and I don't like it. But I stuck it out. And what I found was that when I didn't have anybody else really telling me what to do or anybody else to really lean on, I actually found that I kind of liked myself. I was like, oh, I like being the first one on the dance floor. Oh, I kind of like doing these fun things over here. Oh yeah, I'll go first. And I just found a new version of myself and I started to build some confidence. And that created a ripple effect as I went back to school. I decided to do something that was so scary at the time. I was like, I'm leaving this guy. It wasn't Brian, by the way, it was somebody else. He's great. But I decided to leave that relationship. And I said, I'm gonna do whatever I want. That was my choice. And it was very scary, but I went out for the school play. I stopped playing the sports that like other people said I should play. Because I was like, I don't even like softball. Why am I playing softball? So I did the things that I wanted to do. And I had the best year ever. And I actually felt good about myself for once. I felt like I actually liked the person I was. And I ended up getting to do some cool stuff. Like I was top in my class. I got to give a speech at graduation. It started this whole ripple effect. And so that led to the lesson that confidence is built outside of your comfort zone. If you look at the things that you do on a daily basis as your sophomore, junior year, and you feel like you're pretty good at everything you do, that might be a signal that you should do something you're uncomfortable with. Because you have so much more potential. You could get so much more confident. If you just went out of your comfort zone, you sought discomfort. Set a very powerful lesson for me. And what's interesting is once I started leading myself first, I started to really step out there. I went and started pursuing fitness. I started doing some crazy fitness activities like bodybuilding, high rocks races, ultra marathons. I started actually really chasing the things that made me light up. And I got what leaders have, which is followers. Not on social media, that came later. But I had people who actually wanted to follow me because I was actually putting out an energy that pulled people in. And that's the key. When you know what you want and you pursue what you want, you don't need anybody with you. They're gonna come. They're gonna follow behind you because you're setting the example. And that's what I learned. And that's what's led to our success today, at least for me. And that's what's led to speaking on stages and building businesses and hosting events and women's retreats and all these different things, from that little insecure girl to somebody who's confident. So I learned the very valuable lesson that we've said multiple times. If you want to be a leader, you've got to lead yourself first. You have to learn what you want, what lights you up, and you got to go that way. And then people will turn to you and they will follow you. And so here's the question. These two different stories. Who resonated maybe with a little bit of mine or Brian's story? A little bit? Yeah. There's some different variations. Some of you are like, I'm meant to be the leader and I'm going to be the president of the United States. All the luck to you. But where's the common thread between mine and Brian's story? The common thread is you think back to what made us reluctant. Whether it was me feeling like insecure, I'm going to fail, I'm going to embarrass myself, I don't have all the answers. Or Brian feeling like he had to be the loudest, the proudest, the person who punched through the wall to be the leader. It's that we really didn't know what a leader actually was. And we had some misconceptions about what it took to be a great leader. So neither of us wanted it. And once we did, we didn't really get it and it was confusing. So that's where we're going to start, is what actually is a leader? What is a leader? Can you guys shout out just a couple of answers? When you think, what's a leader?
Who's got an answer? What is a leader?
What comes to mind?
Yeah.
Characteristics, traits. What actually comes to mind when you think of a leader?
What do you think a leader is?
Someone people follow.
Someone people follow.
Yeah.
Someone that's like inspired.
Someone's inspiring.
Cool.
Yep, right here.
Someone that has a positive influence on others.
Positive influence on others, yeah.
Green shirt.
Determined.
Up there,
And
left.
Well, I got someone in the back.
Willing to do something that others won't.
Do something that others willing to do something others won't. Ah, nice.
Somebody sets a good example.
Sets a good example. We got someone over here.
Someone who's confident.
Someone who's
Nice.
confident.
Last one.
Somebody who has an open mind.
Someone
Love
has an
it.
open mind. Those are all
Excellent.
great
Really
answers.
great answers. What we like to do when we think of leadership is start with what a leader is not, just so we can get it out of the way, and then we'll focus on what a leader is.
So a leader is not someone who is always the loudest, right? Just because someone's the loudest doesn't mean they're the most confident. It's a really good lesson for life. Person who always has the answers, right? So do you ever think that someone might feel really confident but they have the wrong answer, right? Has anyone done that in class? I did that at St. A's. One time I was like, no, that is the answer, absolutely, in front of a class like this. And the teacher's like, Brian, you couldn't be further from the truth. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I got some lessons to learn. Always perfect, right? A leader's not always perfect. They make mistakes. The most opinionated person, not always a leader. Think self-centered, right? They only care about themselves, not a leader. Someone who's in that category is not a leader. And then I think this is really important. A leader is not fearless at all times. Every human feels fear. And when you're in that state of uncertainty, that's where a lot of us shut down or lock up. The key is learning how to be brave and courageous. The only way through fear is through courage. So you have to be brave to be a leader, but you don't have to say, oh, I'm never going to be afraid. Great leaders do it despite being afraid. And so a great definition of a leader is someone who chooses to go first, even when it's difficult, even when it's hard. They make the decision. Oh, you, sir, you raised your hand first when no one was asking or going to give us an answer, right? That was a great leadership move, right? I'll give you an answer. That's actually a leader. Goes first, even when it's a little uncomfortable. Right? So those decisions, when we go first, in spite of it being difficult, that's really what makes us a leader. And John Maxwell is a leadership coach, and his definition is a leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way to others. Right? So they're able to look, I have a vision, I know where I'm going. Hey, let's go this way, and they bring others with them along the way too.
But what we are going to do is we're going to give you 5 principles, which you guys already actually started alluding to. Great job. When it comes to becoming not just a leader, but a great leader, we're going to give you some success principles. And principles are awesome because they guide your thought process. A lot of times we want to have step A, B, and C to becoming X, Y, Z. We want the steps, right? We want the certainty, we want the plan. But principles will lead and guide your thinking, and there's something to fall back on. So write these down, and you're going to use them as kind of a self-assessment later. The first principle for success, we've already said multiple times today, and you're going to hear it all weekend long, it is lead yourself first. Who's ever had somebody telling you what to do, and they don't do it themselves? How likely are you to actually listen to that person? Very likely or unlikely? Unlikely. Yeah, it sucks, right? Because they're not setting the example. They're not doing what they're asking you to do. They're not leading themselves first. But when somebody does and they walk the walk and they say, hey man, I'm picking up that bag, I'm taking that off the field, why don't you pick up your stuff? Then you're much more likely to do it, right? So you gotta lead yourself first, and that's gonna have others lead you or lead with you. Second, and this is counter to a lot of what you're gonna hear, probably feel from social media especially. Acknowledge your weaknesses. Like, don't pretend that you're perfect, right? Acknowledge it. But you want to build on your strengths. There is this idea taught for a very long time that you needed to seek out your weaknesses and destroy them. Really great leaders, actually, they acknowledge their weaknesses and they find somebody who's strong at what they're weak at. And they become a team. Great leaders build on what they're already good at and get even better at what they're already good at. And that's what you actually want to do. Build on your strengths. Third, and you got this from my story a little bit, seek challenge, seek discomfort. The more you can associate that the moment you're uncomfortable, you are growing, the more you are going to become confident. And I'll say that again. The moment that you link, I'm uncomfortable, I must be growing, the more you're going to grow, the more confident you're going to become. So link that discomfort equals good thing, and seek it out, and you're going to grow much faster than everybody else around you. And you'll become a great leader. Fourth, we didn't talk about this quite so much, but you heard it in Brian's story. Embrace feedback. A lot of people are afraid of feedback. They're afraid to be criticized. They're afraid to hear that, oh, they didn't do so well, or, oh, that was a failure. I didn't get elected, like Brian said. That's just feedback. That's feedback. You can take it or you can reject it, but feedback is immensely helpful because it tells you what the world is actually seeing and picking up on from you, which might not be, like Brian said, it might not be what you want to put out, right? So feedback is a good thing. We want to see it as a gift. And then lastly, you got to find a mission that's greater than yourself. If you're just trying to get rich, make money, get lots and lots of people to like you, have a social media following, you're not going to get very far. You got to find a mission that goes far beyond you. How often can you give rather than focusing on what you're getting? If you can give more, you will become more, and you will get more as a result of that. So those are your 5 principles, and here's what we want to start with, or where we want to take you. But we're going to take 5 minutes to reflect briefly on what makes you already a leader. And this is the place where you get to give yourself a ton of credit for things that you might not normally give yourself credit for.
And so the first question is, what's one quality I admire about myself and why? What's something that you like about you? What's your strength, right? Secondly is, what's a moment where I stepped up for myself and I felt proud? Just giving yourself credit. Like when I told you the story about my freshman year. I stepped up on the football field and one of the coaches said, you've impressed me. I thought you were going to be a real big problem, but you've done an incredible job. I was like, oh, I feel good about myself. It's okay to give yourself credit sometimes. Next is, what's a moment where I supported others or I led others? And what was the lesson there? What made me feel proud? Next, what's one area I'd like to grow or improve as a leader? And then why do I think it matters? Like, why is it a must that I start doing this? So take your time, journal through this. We're going to give you plenty of time, about 5 minutes. So go and write, and we'll come back.
If anybody gets stuck, tap a leader on the shoulder, and they'll come give you some suggestions. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, so by this point, you have made some distinctions on, hey, what is a great leader? How do I want to show up? And then also, what am I already proud of? What are some of my gifts? What are my strengths? But now we have a simple little question, which is, who would like to speed up the process of getting to where you want to be? Who would like to see some faster results? Like, I see that I want to be more boisterous. I want to be able to voice my opinion. I want to have some confidence. I want to speed it up. Well, that's what we're going to talk about, because the fastest way to gain any kind of progress is to model someone who already has success. You don't have to figure it out yourself. Lindsay and I have a decade of failures that we're sharing along the way. If you didn't notice, there were some moments where things weren't good. So we're sharing these patterns of success because it would have been nice when we were your age to get them. And we're sharing them in a very fast way. That's how you can rapidly speed up your growth. And there's a great quote from Warren Buffett. So for those who don't know, it's perfectly fine. Warren Buffett is the greatest investor of all time. greatest investor of all time. He built his wealth by just continuing to invest from the time he was 12 to now he's almost 100. He's still investing. He still has those same principles. But the quote that I love is, write down the qualities of the people you admire the most. And then ask, how can I start to be more like them? So if you have friends, anyone have friends you really admire? Like you're like, oh my gosh, like that person, they're so confident, or they can sing really well. Instead of being like, oh, I wish I could sing like them, be like, hey, how did you get so good at singing? Did you drive in the car and just belt it out and who cared about your voice? Did your parents get you lessons? What did you do? Or someone's a really great athlete, or they stand up with confidence. Like, how do you do that? Or more importantly, how can I be like that? So these qualities are things we want to start attracting and embracing. And the way we do that is by modeling. Now, when we talk about modeling, a great model can be your coach. Who here has a great coach that you're like, oh my gosh, I really respect that person, right? Your coach is there because they've already played the sport, right? Your teachers are there because they've already done the lessons. You have classmates, right? You can model each other. If you notice this weekend, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish that I was more bold. Who here is bold, right? Who here is someone that I can go talk to about their boldness? Just be around them, because that becomes a part of who you are too. And ideally, your parents and relatives. Now, no one's perfect, right? We all have challenges, but our parents have lessons that we can gain too. But what's great is your mentors can be people you don't even know yet, people you haven't met. And so these can be people along the lines of Caitlin Clark, right? Does anyone respect Caitlin Clark and like how awesome she is, right? Or Tom Brady, right? He's still the GOAT, right? He was my idol when I was your age. I was like, oh my God, this guy's got such passion and energy. How can I have some of that? So I never knew them, or at least I didn't know them at the time, but the people that I admired were people that I wanted to be like in the future, people I wanted to bring into my space. And so the best way to find a mentor is different than what you think. So where do you think the best place to find a mentor is? Let's hear an answer. Where can you find a great mentor? Where do you think you can find a great mentor? Where do you think you can find someone to teach you or something to guide you? Yeah. Around you. That's a great answer. What else? Where can you find a great teacher, a great mentor, even if you don't know them? Yeah.
Like whatever you're trying to do, someone doing it on an empire.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. If I wanted to start a lemonade stand, I would go figure out who's already got a lemonade stand, right? Who's got another answer? One more. Where can you find a really great mentor, someone that can teach you something about what you want? Get one more. No right or wrong answer.
Think.
Think. Where can you find someone? Yeah. Online.
There you go.
All right, you're tracking,
There
right?
we go.
The answer is a great book. Great book. When you read a book, you are sitting down with that person in that moment, right? They took all their greatest lessons and they put them on a book for you. If you want to learn how to, let's say, code, how can I read a book on this? If you want to start a business, how can I read this? I used to read books about guitar because I was obsessed with guitar and it taught me how to do it. So great mentors come from great books. I want to give this to you because one great book can change your life. And that's where I want to share the story that I discovered at St. A's. So this is a little bit of an older gentleman. His name's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Does anyone know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? Okay, some of you, and that's okay. If you don't, that's perfect. So I came to St. A's and I was petrified. I was 18. I grew up in Franklin, New Hampshire. And when I came here, I was supposed to play football, but I was like 170 pounds. And I felt like I was too weak, didn't have the talent. And so even though I was supposed to play football, I talked myself out of it. I said, not for me. I'm not good enough. But there was a part of me that said, I really do want this. I really do want to do this. And someone handed me a magazine about a bodybuilder named Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I said, well, it's got some workouts. I think I'll start doing it. And then that Christmas, I asked my parents for the only thing I want is this book. Only thing I care about, I want his autobiography. And some of you might be, I was not a reader. I hated reading. The idea of reading sounded like torture. But I consumed this book in about a month. And it talked about how he grew up poor in Austria. Something I could relate to because I didn't have any money. How he had a vision of being an athlete, being a bodybuilder. I said, well, I could do that. That sounds like something that's inspiring to me. He moved to California that's where I wanted to be. And then he became successful and ran for governor. I was studying politics at St. A's. I said, oh my gosh, this guy's like got a vision, something I can hold on to. And I started just consuming that book. By the time I had graduated, I'd already competed in my first bodybuilding contest and won. I'd started my first business. I was on fire, ended up walking onto the football team, and I made it. Changed my life because I found a mentor. Now, what was amazing is when I started to read this book, I was like, oh my gosh, it would be so great if he mentored me. It would be so amazing if he was someone who I could talk to and get his advice. And I share that because that is exactly what happened. So we were in Gold's Gym. I wanted to live in Los Angeles more than anything. I grew up in a town of 750 people, and I just wanted to get out. And by the time that we actually got to California, it was just the most amazing feeling. And I was standing there at the gym, and we hadn't moved yet. And all of a sudden, I see my mentor. He's at the gym. And I say, oh my gosh, like, Lindsay, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says, well, let's go get a picture with him. Let's go talk to him. And so I walk up to him. And I say, hey, Arnold, like, can I get a picture with you? And he says, I've got 5 more sets. Come see me in a moment. I said, oh my gosh, like, this is my mentor. He just saw me break my concentration. That's like the #1 thing you don't do in the gym. So I'm like, all right, I got to get focused. And I start doing like leg press. And I'm pushing up all this weight, all this weight, all this weight. And I see Arnold. He's watching me. He's like watching me work out. He's seeing what I'm doing. And he keeps looking at me. Like, okay. And then he walks up after I'm done working out. He says, hey, do you want to get your picture? And I say, oh my gosh, let me go grab my girlfriend. So we walk up to the front of the gym, and for those of you who know Arnold Schwarzenegger, he starts kind of his shtick. He goes, come on, Johnny, you've got to get going. He's kind of talking to people like that. And I grab my phone, I go to give it to someone to take a picture, and he says, no, we're going to take a selfie. And that's the picture. And he stood there for the next 3 minutes, asked me what my goals were. What did I want to accomplish? Why did I come to Los Angeles? And he got to know me. And he said, hey, I wish you the best of luck. That was kind of similar to what happened to me. I hope that everything works out for you. That single exchange, I was like, this is where I got to be. I didn't have the money. We didn't have the knowledge of how to move from New Hampshire to Los Angeles, but that was locked in. So I share this because in where you're at right now, it might not be a book, right? It might be someone online, like someone said. It might be someone that you're really inspired by. But your mentors don't have to be the people just that are around you. You can speed up the process by saying, who's someone that I admire and how can I act more like that person right now? And the more you act like that person, you start to become them. And that's what we're going to have you do right now, is get clear on what matters most to you. Where do you want to see yourself accelerate, and how can you start modeling some of those people? So the first question is, who's a leader that I admire? Who is a leader that I admire? Is it a coach, a teacher, an athlete, a business person, a political figure? Right? Maybe there's a politician, they're like, oh my gosh, when they speak, I really am inspired. What do I admire about them specifically? Think, what do I really admire about this person? Is it their character? Is it the way that they stand up in the face of fear? Is it their work ethic? Is it their speaking skills? What is it? One of the things you want to do is ask, how can I be like them right now? What's one small thing that I could do? What's one small way I could be like that person right now? Would I have to go and start working out? That's what I had to do. I had to go to the gym consistently. Do I have to run for class president? Right? Maybe you have a goal to run for class president, something like that, and that's the challenge. We want to thank you guys, thank you all for being here. Thank you for letting us share this all with you. It's been such a great time. Our encouragement, again, play full out this weekend. Be respectful. Go and be curious, but really use this as a foundation for everything. So give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for being here.